It's highly unlikely that I would be on this stage. So as we celebrate 20 years, it forces me to be very reflective and think about where I was 20 years ago. 20 years ago, it was 1998, and I was 16 years old. And this is when I realized that I was going to actually have to serve 8 years in adult maximum security prisons as a teenager. Just about a year and a half prior, I was 15 years old, about a week after my 15th birthday, and I committed a carjacking with a friend. I was 15, he was 16 years old. We both stood in front of a judge, and the judge sentenced us to spend 23 years to life in prison. He suspended 15 of those years, left me with 8 years to serve, and said, Marcus, you're going to have to serve all of this time in adult maximum security places. I'm 15 years old, so I really couldn't conceive what was happening to me. My brain wasn't mature enough to be able to conceptualize the moment in that courtroom and what that meant for my life and my family members and everyone who stood behind me, sobbing uncontrollably as they listened to the judge send me away to a holding cell to not spend another Christmas with my family until almost a decade later. When I was walking around the rec yard track at Southampton Correctional Center with Daniel Brown, we all call him Danny B. I asked Danny B, after walking around this same dirt track for days and days and days, 20 years ago, and Danny B, I asked him, I said, hey, how long have you been in this prison? Because I'm 16 years old, and I've been in prison for like a year and a half now. Like, I'm a vet. Like, I know how to do this prison thing. And I asked Danny B, and I said, Danny B, how long have you been here? He looked at me, he said, you mean at this prison or like in a time? I'm like, you've been to multiple prisons? Because I've been like 4. Like, I went to the jail, then the receiving center, and then now, I'm a vet. And he's like, Marcus, I've been here for 31 years. And as a 16-year-old, 20 years ago, my heart sunk. I'm walking around the track, and I couldn't even emote. I couldn't break down and show Danny B and everyone else that was walking around the track at the same time what was happening in my brain at that moment. But that was the moment when I stopped thinking that I would get out one day and I was really going to have to serve my 16th birthday, 17th birthday, 18th birthday, 19th birthday, 20th birthday, 21st birthday, 22nd, and 23rd, all inside of a prison cell. It was an awakening moment for me, very transformative. It just happened 20 years ago. 20 years ago was also the time when I realized how important mail was and how transformative that could be. You see, my mom, during that sentence of between 1996 and 2004, when I was released from prison, she would send me pictures of my food, of food that she would eat, and of the comforter that she wanted to buy me to sleep in, and the refrigerator that I would open up one day when I came home, and she shared this all before Instagram. Little did I know that it was her photos, it was her letters, it was the connection that we had back to my family that kept me alive. My mom kept me going in one of the worst times of my life, and I needed her. She was there for me. Actually, not only just my mom, but my friends, my community, my church, my basketball team, they all took pictures and they wrote me letters. And it's the reason that I was able to keep a sane mind as a teenager growing up in one of the worst places in the world. It's the reason why I stand here before you today, and I'm blessed to be able to say that I'm now the CEO of the mobile app Flikshop. You see, in prison, where all of these men and women are spending years of their lives away from the people who mean the most from them, it's the place that suffers from the least amount of communication, the least amount of connectivity. There's no Facebook, no Instagram, no Snapchat, there's no text messaging. There's none of the technology that you and I are accustomed to today, the technologies that keep us connected, that keep us together. And these people in these cells are falling further and further away from their family members. Getting mail in prison is like hitting the lottery. It's the only way to know that someone cares about you, and my mother's letter saved my life. Flikshop allows our users to be able to take a picture, add some quick text, press send, and we take that picture and text and print it on a real, tangible photo postcard and mail it to one of any over 2,200 facilities where we're already approved around the country. And we've connected over 140,000 families around the country.